Last year, so far, more than 11,000 people have been killed in that fighting and in an outbreak of cholera. Here's the BBC's Hadya Alawi on the motivation for these sackings.
There's no official line about why they did this, so it's really hard to speculate why they did this exactly, the royal family, but it absolutely has something to do with Yemen. There's been a lot of criticism over the past years about, his involvement, obviously, on the war in Yemen, the number of casualties and what's happened. They want to see an end to this. However, these changes don't necessarily mean that the strategy of Saudi Arabia in Yemen is going to change. I think there's a very clear strategy about what it wants to do there, and this does not mean in any way that it's going to end the war in Yemen.
And the individual demotions, the people who have been removed, we don't know exactly what the reasons are behind it.
No, absolutely not. And that's why it's really strange. Always when things like this happen in Saudi Arabia, they don't really give a line or a reason why this happened. They just reshuffle people. And a lot of it has to do with loyalties and those who are close to the royal family, those who they think they can do a good job. They give them the job rather than based on their skills. It's more about how close they are to the family and their circle of people who are very loyal to them. We don't know exactly what happened. We're just reading into this like anyone else.
What can we read into the elevation of a woman to a very high-profile position, Deputy Labour Minister? I mean, is this part of the modernisation effort to promote a more moderate view of Islam in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very positive step, obviously, to have a woman in such a high position. And I think Saudi Arabia is mainly trying to change its image that it had for so long, being so conservative and so reserved and keeping women on the side and not having that participation of females in power or in higher positions. I think we've seen a lot of changes, even over the past few months. We've seen that women were allowed to go into stadiums. It's small changes. I mean, and maybe for someone from outside Saudi Arabia, they would look at it and think it's such minor changes, doesn't mean anything. But for women there who have never been able to drive, never been able to participate in politics or in, public life such as that, it's a very big deal. So it is part of MBS is planned to 2030 to make that huge reshape. Mohammed bin Salman, Mohammed bin Salman.
So this is his vision, another step in that vision.
It is, as I mentioned. I think he's trying to bring a lot of people who are very close to him, and a lot of analysts are saying that this is kind of paving the way for him for when he becomes a king. He wants to, change the image of Saudi Arabia, have a more open Saudi Arabia, have a little bit more, not a very conservative Islam model in the state. Now, how that's going to happen, we'll see how that goes. But I think he's really trying hard, and I think also he will probably create some enemies on the way because not all people are very happy about this.
Hadya Alawi. To Syria now, and despite Russia ordering a humanitarian ceasefire, the Damascus suburb of eastern Ghouta awoke to this. Syrian government forces carrying out airstrikes. According to a monitoring group, the proposed 5-hour truce scheduled to start at 9 a.m. local time collapsed on its very first day. Now, in fact, some residents of eastern Ghouta say it never started at all.
Right now, more than 5-hour strike hit the towns in eastern Ghouta, and the missiles hit Douma city and killed 2 people until this moment, between them a woman and their child. They killed in Jisrin town by many bombing right now after the ceasefire. The Russia warplanes and the Iran warplanes and the Assad government did not stop at all to bomb the building and the towns in eastern Ghouta.
Well, both sides are blaming each other for the unsuccessful ceasefire. Russia, which backs the Syrian government,